Here's a nice driving video from Thurmond, West Virginia back to Mount Hope, West Virginia. If you notice closely, the sign there says 2 tracks now instead of 3. It was August, was it last year or the year before? I think it's been a couple of years since they removed this 3rd track. And just recently the sign was saying from 3 tracks to 2 tracks. And there's the old passenger depot. I know, these amount of videos I call it the freight depot when it's the passenger depot. Thurmond Bridge. The original bridge, I think it's 1885 when the original bridge was built. Of course, part of it was washed away during the flood in 1908. So the first span is still there. Of the 3-span trestle, the second and third span was gone after the water receded during the major flood and was rebuilt. I think it's cool how the road and the railroad tracks share the same bridge. You don't see that very often these days. I think it used to be common back in the day. Of course, now a lot of roads and railroad tracks have their own separate bridges. That car randomly pulls over. I'd say corpsmen a lot of times will park their engines right there and waiting on the empty coal train. Not very many 1-lane bridges left. You notice the beautiful fall colors. I think it was October when I filmed this. I want to say, I forget the exact date. I'm thinking the 27th. Because usually by this late in the month, all the trees are de-leafed. Notice here the trees mainly has got the full peak. Of course, when I turned the camera around, I was trying to point out that rail car, that tank car over there. There used to be a lot of mining towns through here. Coming up to that first railroad crossing here in a minute. I filmed some trains here. I haven't filmed a lot here at this crossing coming up. I need to film more. It's a great location. I just don't film a lot there. Usually I rush to Thurmond to catch the train coming onto the main line. Although Wednesdays I need to come and catch the empty train going across this particular crossing again, which I've done before, but not recently. I think I've made 2 videos since I started my YouTube of the empty train crossing the crossing going the opposite direction. I think a few videos of the loaded train, because normally after the loaded train clears, you could actually get down and have time to wait on the main line. If you're lucky, you'll get a train meet. Because there'll be multiple trains going by on the main line, they have to wait. We don't get that lucky very often. Well, I don't get that lucky very often because usually when the train's heading down to the main, I don't have time to chase it. What I do, I go catch it. Over here around the curve is the Thurmond Minden Trail. I think they call it the Rim Trail, but used to call it the Thurmond Minden Trail, and they call it the Rim Trail. Which is interesting because there used to be a railway switch back there. I need to get out there and do some videos on that trail here soon. Something I'll definitely be doing different on my YouTube in the future. I'm going to start filming more of my hiking trips. I don't know if those videos will take off as good as the train videos, but yes, I'll still do the train videos. I'll start being interesting. And I don't like this bridge here. I don't know why they ain't been replaced yet. Apparently that's a temporary bridge because the original bridge started falling apart. But there is a mining town in this stretch up through here, which I forget the name of it. There ain't anything left though. There's an old trestle across the creek, Dumlook Creek, which amazingly is in really good shape. If you walk across it, none of the ties are rotten or anything. You would think that it's been worked on somewhat recent. Actually, I wouldn't say none. I think a few of them here and there are a little bit rotten. It's like that one down when you get to Terry, on the other side of Prince. For some reason that trestle is in really good shape and that track hasn't been used in a long time. I don't think they took a train all the way up to the coal camp at Terry Beach since the 1960s, according to what I read online on Coal Camps USA. So I don't know. I think we already passed a beautiful waterfall here. I just know this is a beautiful stretch of road any time of year. spring and summer, we got the beautiful trees when they get leaf and the wildlife. Then the fall, you got the beautiful fall colors. Winter, you got great views to the creek because the trees don't block the view of the creek as much. Although you can still see the creek any time of the year. But during the wintertime, you can see the creek, the whole entire stretch through here, not just little gaps like this, for example, where there's no trees in these little gaps. Here it goes back to 2 lanes. Interesting fact though, since they paved this road, the whole most of the way of Thurmond's almost 2 lanes wide. I remember when this stretch of 2 lanes was just barely wide enough to pass. Now you can pass comfortably. Of course, the other stretch that's just only 1 lane wide. It's almost 2 lanes wide, but it's not wide enough to be considered 2 lanes, but it's wide enough where you can pass comfortably once you get past the double yellow line going into Thurmond. For the most part, except for those 1-lane bridges, which I've noticed the new bridges I didn't think was 2 lanes wide or 2 lanes wide, surprisingly. Because I know this stretch here where it's double lane, they made all the bridges 2 lanes wide. But then it's like a couple of bridges just before you get to Thurmond where the road's 1 lane wide. Apparently the bridges are wide, 2 lanes wide, and I didn't wide. I realized that recently. Because they don't look 2 lanes wide. This and here's one of the ones they replaced over the years. And here's another crossing I filmed trains out a few times. Not recently though, I think it's been a few months since I got a good train video there. And that truck was sitting there when I went down. They were still sitting there and I came back up. But here soon will become some mining towns. The first mining town we came to is Harvey. Well, a lot of houses left through here, even though it floods all the time. Well, through Harvey when you get there, because I think we still got a little ways to go. And this road from, once you get through Glenzine, well, actually all the way from Mount Hope, you basically follow the railroad line all the way. But once you get past Glenzine, you're close enough to the line to see the trains when they go through. Between Glenzine and Mount Hope, in the wintertime, you can look through the trees and see the tracks to the trees over the hillside and see the trains when they're going by. In the summertime, you can't really see the tracks of the trees that well on that last stretch between Glenzine and Mount Hope. But I noticed all these walls, concrete high walls here. I remember when they were just wood made out of wooden railroad ties. R.J. Corman replaced all those with reinforced concrete, because most of them were rotten and about to give away. So they probably spent millions upgrading this line. I know they did, because all those walls that was replaced with concrete between the tracks and the road. Not to mention that the line itself had to have extensive repair work. They changed the rail from conjoining rail to ribbon rail. Of course, now R.J. Corman's really increasing. They expanded the rail yard, and they're getting ready to expand the track next to the mine in Pax. I need to get up there and get some videos in that area. But here's the coal camp at Harvey. You've noticed a lot of coal camp houses are still there. Surprisingly, considering how bad it floods here, this stretch is not unusual when we get a lot of rain all to be underwater. In a couple of these spots, the water does get on the railroad tracks at time to time. Because there's one spot where the rail line gets pretty close to the creek. It's not unusual during major floods with the water be over top of the rail line, which does happen occasionally in this stretch. So you know all those houses get water in it. I think last time it flooded that bad was February 2022. I don't think it got in the tracks that much during the flood, because it didn't get that high, but it probably did get, actually it might have got high in that one patch back there. I know it got in the railroad tracks here in town because R.J. Corman had to do extensive repair work between Main Street and State and Drive crossings because of all the damage done to the tracks. Now over here's where the company store used to be. You see that field we passed. I remember when I was growing up in the 90s, the company store was still there. Of course, it's collapsed since then. I remember, I think the 2001 flood took it down. Oh, by the way, if you turn up that road with this past, that takes into the coal camp of Prudence. There's a coal camp called Prudence up there. And at the top of the hill here will be in Red Star. West Red Star is another mining town. I'd like to point that out. On this particular day, I met with Gene Vinces. We attempted to walk the Soul, but then we turned around and realized there wasn't enough daylight left to make it. We would have got there an hour or so sooner. We probably would have made it to Soul before dark. Oh well. In the future, we will be going to Soul for sure. It's one of the places on the bucket list. And those that still watching, I'd like to point out, I will be planning trips to all these abandoned mining towns again. Every year, as my tradition, every year I go visit these abandoned mining towns off New Gords. When the trees get leaving their brushes down. It's kind of my fall tradition and my spring tradition. And this is the coal camp of Red Star that we're passing through now. Which is interesting. Oh, by the way, that house, well, did I get in the video? Yeah, sort of. The house be on the right-hand side, that brick house. At one time, that was a grocery store. I didn't know that until recently. Earlier this year, I found that out, and I thought that's cool. Now we're about to go into Glenzine. And that school up here, we'll be passing a minute, apparently it's a camp now, some kind of youth camp. They call it Camp Royal. And they do a lot of events for the kids and the youth during the summertime. Which I think is very interesting, that they turn that into a youth camp. There's the school. I can remember that school was open in the 90s. It started as a school. Now it's not. Which is kind of cool that it stayed open. I don't know what year the school closed down as a school. I don't even know what year it closed down. I do remember it being open though, because I need to Google that, because I don't even know what year that school closed down. I know it was open when I was growing up. And I think they closed it down and the Glenzine kids started going to Oak Hill. But they could have went to Mount Hope, because Mount Hope's closer than Oak Hill. But now Mount Hope Elementary School shut down and they're all going to Oak Hill. We just passed the bank of Glenzine, which I got a couple of video clips inside there because the Park Service held a meeting about all these houses and buildings they're talking about demolish. And I really hope they change their mind and don't demolish all those buildings, but if they do, there's nothing I can do about it. If you go straight ahead here, you go through the coal camps of Scarborough, Whipple, and Whipple. Of course, if you make a left-hand turn in Whipple, you go through Oakwood and Carlisle. Make a right-hand turn, you get back on the interstate after going through Whipple. Go straight, you end up in Oak Hill. On that road where we turned at, if you go where it went straight instead of turning left, for example. Part of the coal camp of Glenzine. Random tractor trailer parked on the side of the road, just sitting there. That's the Exxon station. By the way, that Exxon station, they have excellent pepperoni rolls. Those hot, fresh pepperoni rolls are so good. That's the only bad thing about going to Thurmond on Sundays to film trains and railroad stuff. They don't sell those pepperoni rolls on Sundays. Of course, they do on Saturdays. Off to the side here is the coal camp of Sun. Yeah, most of the coal camp of Sun's across the interstate there, 19. Which is interesting. See a few coal camp houses through here, which for years I thought was part of Glenzine. I found out it's actually part of the coal camp of Sun. apparently was split in half when they built Route 19. And I remember a few years back, I guess it was 2018, 2019, I talked to someone who is in his old man's in his late 90s. He's passed away since then, but he did talk about the company store. He actually remembers the company store being there, and he told me that they tore it down in the 1970s when they put Interstate 19 through there. They went right through the company store. It was demolished, along with a small cluster of houses. I think he told me when it was being open. Of course, I found out the coal mine at Sun shut down in 1931. I think Lenzine mine shut down in 38. I don't know what years Prudence and Harvey shut down, or Red Star. I never did find that out. I thought if I Google it, I could probably figure out. I know Ripple was going until the mid 1950s. Scarborough probably about the same time period. That's when a lot of these mines died out though, because after World War II, the demand for coal went down a lot. That and a lot of these mines are being walked out anyways. Yes, there still is a big demand for coal, because all these factories that used to use a lot of coal. I think there still is a decent amount of factories here in America that use this coal, and there's a decent amount of coal-burning power plants too. But a lot of coal-burning power plants are being shut down, and a lot of homes and buildings that used to be heated by coal is either heated by electric or natural gas now. And we just passed the Schoolhouse Market. There's a lot of coal that's being shipped overseas. Most of the coal comes through Mount Hope by my house, actually is shipped overseas to foreign countries. Although occasionally they'll send a coal train to a mine in upstate New York, or they used to. I don't know if they still do.